Hello and welcome to a Scarlet edition of Buckeye TV's Campus View. I'm your host, Connor Shue. Thanks for joining us. We have an exciting show for you today. We will find out what's on the minds of Ohio State students as we discuss the big topics on and off campus. Let's meet our first group of students. Please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you, Tyler, on the left end.
I'm Tyler Danberg. I'm a fourth-year journalism major from the Cleveland, Ohio area. I love sports, broadcast sports, have a passion for it, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys.
I'm Will Steigerwald. I'm also from Cleveland, Ohio. I am also a fourth year, also studying journalism. I want to just be a sports writer when I graduate, and yeah.
I'm Riley Rockamp. I'm also a fourth year, not a journalism student. I'm a sports industry major. I work in video production for sports, so also love talking about sports.
So, of course, all of us work in the area of sports, so guess what our topic is today? Sports. So we're going to ask everybody what they watched this weekend in sports. So, everybody, what was on your TV?
First off, I thought we were talking about biology. But no, this past weekend with NFL and college football in full swing for the first time. First time we've had both. And just like many of the Cleveland fans on this panel, Cleveland sports grabbed our hearts and ripped it out yet again. The Cleveland Browns, a tough loss to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cleveland Guardians losing 2 of 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers, but a really good team led by the masterful Shohei Ohtani. So that's what I was watching. Will?
Yeah, I am in the same boat as Tyler. I had to watch an awfully run Browns offense go against a really well-rounded Cowboys team. But my college football, I watched Michigan lose to Texas. Fantastic game. Go Bucks. And a bunch of other upsets, especially Notre Dame. That Notre Dame game was something else. And they're still ranked somehow, but that's none of my business.
Yeah. I took a look at the Texas and Notre Dame games just when I saw the scores. I was very shocked. I was keeping up with it on the ESPN app, but I was at the Ohio State game this weekend, so that was my main focus. And since I'm not from the Cleveland area, I did not focus on the Browns this weekend.
Good. It was rough.
And I'm also a Cleveland sports guy, so I unfortunately watched the Browns game. I did not enjoy that experience at all, but I think we're going to focus on the Ohio State game here, everybody. Just a complete blowout of Western Michigan. I think it was a lot of fun, guys.
It really was. I mean, you take a look at that Ohio State defense, still yet to yield a touchdown this year. They were shut down again against a Western Michigan offense that certainly is not their key identity to their program. It's the defense that almost shut down Wisconsin for a good period of time. They led going into the fourth quarter of week 1 of that game, but you got to love the environment, the atmosphere. There's nothing that beats a night game, too, at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah, I totally agree. Riley and I actually both went and attended that game as sports journalists. We were writing about that game for a sports journalism class. And yeah, it was obviously a great game. Defense performed amazingly. And there really wasn't anything bad besides maybe no turnovers on the defense, which still kind of looms large on, or at least for that game. But yeah, it was overall a fantastic game. What about you, Riley?
I have to add, the band had Alumni Day, and at halftime, they had 4 Script Ohios go on, and I thought that was so cool. I mean, we have the best band in the land, so I thought that was a very fun thing to watch, especially from the press box. It was a really cool sight to see.
The press box view was fantastic. I mean, I've been up there once before for a campus tour for Parents' Day, I think it was, but going up there when the stadium was full, seeing the band out there, watching, what was it? Was it a Quinshon Judkins 70-yard touchdown? Mm-hmm. That was fantastic. Just everything about that game, that night was awesome.
And of course, you could choose Quinshon or even Will Howard, but who were your guys' players of the game?
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I think I'm going to go with Quinshon. Highest graded running back in college football, according to Pro Football Focus. He was on fire. You had to assume that he was going to get activated in week 2 after being limited a little bit in week 1. Steady diet of carries, but then week 2, he just blossomed.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to go with Jeremiah Smith. I mean, he had another unbelievable week. Geno Smith, his cousin, says that he's going to be the greatest wide receiver in the NFL when he gets into there. And yeah, there's literally nothing there's nothing bad about our freshman class. Any of the young guys, there's just so much going for them, and I think Jeremiah Smith might go down as one of the greatest Buckeyes if he keeps his pace.
Did you all know that Geno Smith and Jeremiah Smith were related
Nope.
going into the
No.
year?
Absolutely
Nope.
not.
I did
Nope.
not. I mean, that's such a broad last name. Like, you don't just
Right.
assume that.
He didn't write back.
He
didn't
didn't
back.
write back.
No, he did not.
But your player of the game,
My
Riley?
player of the game? I was going to say Judkins, too. I mean, I think he just showed out, but they obviously both took kind of the best players. So I'll just go off of Will Howard had such a better game this week than he did the week before. And even in the press conference that we got to go to, he said he felt so much more in tune with the team and just more fluid in that game. Like, he felt more like a Buckeye this week than he did the week prior.
Did have some struggles against Akron in week number 1, went 8 for 18 in the first half, but I'm going to have to piggyback off of Will's answer. Jeremiah Smith, over 100 yards in the first half, couple of scores, and as Geno Smith said, might be the best receiver of all time. But this Ohio State team, a lot of hype coming into this year. Where do we see them going as this season progresses?
Well, the ceiling is the national championship. Everybody that came into this year, the returning seniors that decided to come back when the NFL draft was certainly an option, the one driving factor was those gold pants that you get after beating Michigan. I mean, that's the end-all, be-all, and that's what gets you to the next step, which is the college football playoff. With the expanded playoff, that might play a different factor because even if you lose once or twice and maybe even lose to that team up north, you still have a good chance to getting into that expanded playoff and running the table. But I think it's national championship or bust for these Buckeyes.
Yeah, I gotta go with Tyler, and he said the ceiling is the national championship. I'd say that's the floor too. I don't think anybody with all the talent that Ohio State has, anybody that isn't inside or nobody expects the Buckeyes not to go anywhere besides the playoffs and besides to the national championship, the expanded format. Granted, we probably could lose a game or two, still make it in, but undefeated going into the national championship, I think that has to be the highest expectation, the only expectation for the Buckeyes.
I would agree, except definitely can't skip over the Michigan game, just with the rivalry and how it's been a few years since Ohio State has beaten Michigan. I think if that ends in a loss, then the tradition is really going to nothing. It's been too many years. They need to focus on that before going to the championship.
And personally, I think Ohio State's going to roll Michigan this year. Not very faithful in their team, but don't have a whole lot of time left, so I think we're going to wrap it up here for Campus TV. I'm Connor Shue, and we'll be back in a few minutes with some more students. And welcome back to Campus View via Buckeye TV. I'm your host, Connor Shue, and this time around, we are talking about YouTube with another set of students. So from left to right, introduce yourselves.
My name is Emma Dawson. I'm a fourth-year journalism major. I'm from the Atlanta area in Georgia.
Nice. My name's Andrew McLean. I'm a third-year journalism major. I'm from a small town in Ohio.
My name is Kate Shields. I'm also a fourth-year journalism major, also from a small town in Ohio, Cincinnati suburb.
So to start off with our YouTube discussion, we're going to keep things pretty simple here and just talk about some people we've been watching recently. So Emma, we'll start with you. Who are you watching on YouTube these days?
So I think these days my YouTube has gotten a little bit narrower. I used to watch a ton of different people. But right now I watch Brittany Broski. I watch her podcast, The Broski Report, her Royal Court, which she interviews celebrities. And then I watch some gaming YouTubers. Maybe a little embarrassingly, I watch these two Australian YouTubers that play The Sims 4. I love to watch them, love to watch them build. And I, of course, watch Markiplier. Love watching him play the horror games. Yeah.
My YouTube sphere is not as knowledgeable as that. I watch Good Mythical Morning almost every day. I think it's just a classic. I think everyone really knows who they are. And more niche, Ludwig, he's like gaming. He does like a lot of really different things. But those are my two that I stay in. But Brittany Broski was a great point. I have watched so many episodes of her podcast, just like getting into that rabbit hole. That's really mine.
Along with the podcast, I also watch the Broski Report and mainly watch Just Trish with Trisha Paytas. Might be a controversial take, but I like to have her on in the background of my day. It keeps things interesting. And I also like to watch true crime podcasts, kind of like any YouTuber. And I forgot about Good Mythical Morning. That's such a throwback for me.
Such a good show.
It is a good show.
And they're getting more unhinged every day.
Oh, and Therapist with Jake Shane. That's a favorite right now.
And I can attest to Markiplier and Good Mythical Morning. I used to watch them back in my day, but now it's gotten much narrower for me. A lot of sports stuff. I'm watching a lot of John Boy Media, if anyone knows what that is. Some baseball YouTubers. They make some pretty good content, but that's enough from me. What brought you guys to these specific YouTubers?
That's a great question. I don't really know. I've always been a big Sims 4 player. I've had The Sims 3. I downloaded The Sims 4 right when it came out, and I just really enjoy watching people do Let's Plays, especially when they're talking through it, like, oh, this is what I'm doing, which maybe is weird, but I also talk out loud when I play video games, so it's fun to watch other people do it. And then Markiplier, I think I got into him before the Five Nights at Freddy's movie came out because I was watching him play Five Nights at Freddy's.
My YouTube experience is a little weird. I started really, really young, which I don't think was healthy for me, let's be honest. But look where I am. Now I'm a journalism major because of it. And then, so I grew up with Good Mythical Morning, I think, is the reason I'm still keeping up with them. And Ludwig is a new one, and I think it's just because I like his sense of humor a lot, and I don't know, I laugh at almost everything he says, so I just keep up with it.
I also have transitioned a lot in what I watch on YouTube in the past few years. I was in I also started really young, and I was in the trenches of the 2010s beauty guru, vlogger, lifestyle, Zoella, Bethany Moda, Aspen Ovard era. And so I still watch Aspen Ovard, actually. Y'all should update yourself on her life. It's crazy. Crazy things are happening. But now I just kind of use it as more so TV almost, like the amount of time with the podcast, and also I can get stuff done while I'm listening to the podcast more than I can with those other type of videos I used to watch. So yeah, that's kind of what my vibe is.
And staying on YouTube, but switching gears a little bit, of course, streaming and podcasts on their own, of course, you can find that type of stuff on YouTube. But a lot of people are saying that they're getting off of YouTube and going more towards podcasting. So do you guys think YouTube is dying?
I don't think that it's dying, but I think that the landscape of what YouTube is really changing. Because as Kate mentioned, 2010s, that era was very much beauty tutorials, get ready with me for school, my life is Ava, literally my life, clear, Friday by Rebecca Black, that was very much of the time, and I think we're kind of turning away from that, and I don't know, I think the gaming content is still the same, and there are still vloggers, because I know Zoella, Alfie Days, Zoella was very popular in the beauty days. They do a family vlog with their kids, and that's still popular, but I just think the content has changed a bit.
I have to 100% agree. I don't think YouTube is dying necessarily. I think definitely the content is changing for more long form. And I think people are actually substituting it out for TV, like we were talking about earlier. I think it's just so much easier to find exactly what like your niche on YouTube instead of like finding a TV show. Like a TV show comes out, like has to be fully produced and all this stuff. On YouTube, it takes, like some people do daily uploads, and like that could be more like easier for someone to go and watch something. So I think YouTube is just more convenient, and so I think it's not dying. I think it's actually taking over a lot more.
I also don't think it's dying, but I feel like now we either watch super, super short 30-second minute videos on TikTok or really, really long like podcast level episodes on YouTube and nothing in between, which is kind of sad. Like sitcom vibe, like 20, 30 minutes. I feel like we've kind of lost that interest. But yeah, I also don't think it's dying, but I think that TikTok kind of, like becoming a TikToker is people's goal now, not becoming a YouTuber. And that was like the be all end all of like the past like 15 years. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
And I think TikTok is starting to gear more towards some longer form content. Of course, the 30-second, minute-long stuff is more of the idea with that. But do you guys think TikTok is really prying people away from YouTube?
I mean, I think that my TikTok For You page and what I watch on YouTube are two entirely different worlds, and one doesn't really draw me away from the other. I think I still prefer like TikTok for short form things. I really don't like when people put like 10-minute vlogs on TikTok. That's too long. TikTok is instant gratification, and YouTube is like I'm sitting down with my dinner, I'm watching TV, I'm enjoying my evening. Yeah.
I will say TikTok has pulled me away from YouTube drastically. I think I used to be on YouTube a lot, and now I like walk to class even. Like sometimes I'm just like, I have so much time right now. I'm just gonna sit here and scroll. It's so much easier to get that, like we said, instant gratification because it's so short. But if they can put all their parts into one video, I would greatly appreciate it. I am tired of going to each account and finding more parts.
That's so true. With YouTube, it was all in one place, but we lost our attention span, so the YouTubers had to transition to TikTok too. A lot of like those big beauty YouTubers that were big in the past, now they do those like long form podcasts instead of the content that they used to do, and they became like TikTokers instead to try and transition with it. So, yeah.
And that just about wraps it up for our segment on YouTube. So we'll be back in a few minutes with some other students talking about one more thing.
Ever wonder what is beyond the Ohio State campus area in downtown Columbus? Ever wanted to see one of the largest collections of early television equipment in the world? Well, Columbus Connection has you covered, as we head to some of the go-to destinations on the west side of Columbus to give you the ultimate Columbus connection. We'll see parks, museums, bars, arcades, and some popular restaurants. All this and more on the next episode of Columbus Connections, exclusively on Buckeye TV.
Welcome to Buckeye Blitz, Inside the Action, where we take you behind the scenes of sports production at Ohio State University. Here at OSU, we're not just capturing the game, we're creating an experience. From prepping scripts to coordinating live shots, every moment is a team effort. But it's not all work and no play. Behind every great production is a team that knows how to have fun while learning. Join us as we dive into the world of sports production at Ohio State University, where passion meets creativity and every game is a chance to shine.
Welcome back to Campus View on Buckeye TV. I'm your host, Connor Shue, and to finish things off for today's show, we are talking about recycling. But first, let's introduce our new panel.
Hi, my name is Cami. I'm a theater major, and I'm happy to be here.
I am Samantha. I'm a fourth-year journalism student.
My name is Catherine. I am also a fourth-year journalism student.
So we're just going to open things up pretty simple here. How often do you guys find yourself recycling on a daily basis?
Well, I recycle a lot. I think me and my roommates clear out recycling like every 2 or 3 days.
I recycle as much as possible. I know when I'm on campus, I try to make sure, like if I have like a coffee cup, that I wash it out and recycle it. I recycle at home too, so just as often as I can.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I feel like I'm more diligent about recycling when I'm on campus. Like if I get a coffee or if I have a gum wrapper, I'm going to put it in the recycling. But when I'm at home, it's a little difficult to recycle. Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I could recycle much more. Like I do it more when I'm on campus, just like you were saying. But I need to get a recycling bin at my place. I don't have one, but that's a story for another time.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you guys feel more inclined to recycle when you're on campus?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like also people are watching me. So I definitely, I mean, yes, I want to recycle as much as I can. But then again, I don't really know because the trash cans here do a great job because they tell you what goes in each one. But when I'm at home, it's definitely a little more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I grew up recycling because I'm from Florida and we have a lot of sea life and then the trash gets into the sea. And so I was taught in schools how to recycle, but obviously that's not as well known out here in Ohio. So when I'm at home, like in my apartment in Ohio, we get like grocery bags, like the paper bags, or when I'm on campus, I look for the red bins and I try to consciously recycle.
Yeah, I try to recycle, like on campus, I definitely recycle more. I know there's like so many weird rules about what can and can't be recycled, and like Cammie was saying, it's not taught as commonly here, and I know I've been other places where it is more taught. I have family who lives in Florida, so I grew up recycling and I try my best, but there are some things that you think might be able to be recycled, and sometimes just you can't.
Right, when it's like a bottle cap.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference.
Yeah, and then recently, I didn't know this, but like recently I found out that you can't recycle pizza boxes. Even though they're cardboard, you can't recycle it.
I know. I know there are weird rules about when things have like paints and different like coloring on them. Sometimes it's those colors that make it so you can't. I like attended a music festival this summer where I volunteered and helped them like sort trash for recycling stuff. And so I like learned a lot more about like there's so many things that you think are recyclable that aren't, and so many things that people don't think are compostable are. So there's weird fine lines that not a lot of people understand, and I kind of wish it was taught more commonly.
Yeah.
I would like to formally apologize for all the pizza boxes I've recycled in the past. Yeah, that's definitely news.
Yeah, and also to piggyback off of you, I like that music festivals and other kind of big events are starting to have more initiatives like that. Recently, I went to Lollapalooza and they had an initiative where you get a trash bag or like a recycling bag, and if you pick up enough cans, they give you a free t-shirt. So it's kind of like encouraging people at the festival to recycle and learn about recycling.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And on campus, do you guys think Ohio State is doing a good enough effort of encouraging people to recycle?
I think Ohio State's doing a great job. I think there can be more to be done educationally. I think they're doing a great job by putting recycle bins in the dorms and putting recycle bins around campus and in the dining halls, but they're not doing it educationally. Like, you know how we have to take campus safety videos that's like required? Maybe we should do a required recycling video. So that way now the students know how to use those bins.
I also think it would be great. I know there's like a club for everything on campus. I'm not sure if there is any sort of like recycling or waste management or anything like that students can help with. But I know Ohio State hosts a lot of like big events and tailgates, and if we were able to do kind of similar initiatives to these music festivals and having students like take action themselves, I think that would be great. And I feel like we don't really see that on campus and could.
Right. I also think that Ohio State does a good job of just trying to be greener in general. I feel like a lot of the bathrooms here have changed where they have the initiative of being like paper free until maybe 2025. I think that's when their goal is. But I feel like in general, I don't know if that's not really recycling, but just to better the campus in general. I feel like they do a good job.
So, do you guys think you could do a better job of spreading the word on recycling?
Spreading the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, I feel like I always try to encourage recycling, especially when I'm with somebody and I see them about to throw it in the trash. I'm like, hey, you could just recycle that. So I feel like I try my best. Yeah.
I definitely could try more. I think I'm mindful of it, but then again, quick thinking, throw it in the trash. So definitely I could work on it in the future, but
yeah, I think I could be better. I try to recycle whenever possible, and sometimes you have to like rinse out a package to recycle it.
Right.
And sometimes if I'm like running late to class or something, I'll just like throw it in the trash. And
Right.
I could just wait, take the time.
Yeah.
And do better about stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes I tell myself that I rather put it in the recycling and then the recycling center sorts it out than I don't put it in there at all. So I feel like those are valid thoughts to think like, oh, it has something in it, it has trash in it, I can't recycle it. But I think at the end of the day, it's getting into the recycle, and that's the start.
And I feel like when I'm walking around campus, I always see people tossing coffee cups into the actual trash can and looking straight at the recycling bin. Do you guys see that a lot?
I think I do. It's unfortunate. I feel like that's probably the best I've done when it comes to recycling on campus. Like I know like coffee cups go in the recycling and water bottles go in the recycling. Everything else trash. So whenever I do see that, it does happen more than I think it does actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably happens more often than I even see it happen. I spend most of my time just in the journalism building during the school week, so I know I see a lot of people throwing coffee cups in the trash, and it's probably the thought of like, oh, it still has something left in it, I don't want to recycle it. But yeah, I think like Cammie said, we could all try and be a little bit better about just putting it in the recycling, even if we're not sure.
Yeah, and this might shock you as well, but the recycling bins actually now have instructions on what's allowed to be recycled, just students aren't stopping to read them.
Right,
So,
which sucks.
yeah, which sucks, yeah. So it's like, how can we do that? Should we put pictures on the recycling bin so they know what goes in each bin? I'm not sure, yeah.
And I think that's just about all the time we have here at Buckeye TV. So thank you everybody for watching today's edition of Campus View on Buckeye TV. I'm Connor Shue, and it's been a pleasure.